I thought spirited day today. I was frustrated yesterday with the team. This is the kind of ups and downs of heading into the middle stretch of the season, and I thought the guys responded well. I thought they responded well yesterday in training in the afternoon, and then today in practice. So it's all I can ask. We need to take a confident team up there and go play really hard and embrace the challenge of winning on the road in the SEC against a good team. And I know we can do it, but we have to carry that belief and we got to act on it and practice it in every step we take. So I'm happy to open up.
Fair to say that disappointing the off-field things you alluded to are better this week than they were last week?
It's fair to say, yes. And I think, look, it is so hard to win, and it's hard for humans to stay focused in general. Now we're in a high-performance environment, and the stakes are high every week. And the importance of ignoring external noise or external narratives when those are good or when those are bad, and just focusing on process and the work that needs to be done and showing up and being accountable, being dependable. That's what makes for good teams. And we've had a better week that way, but I don't ever want to sound like, I think that has to reset every single day. So again, I'm interested to see how we finish today, how we wake up tomorrow, and there's never a time where you can step back and say, we got it. Now, I think maybe in a few years, after we've strung together some success and we've built the nucleus of leadership and we've, maybe then we can say, these guys got it. And right now, they need to be coached, they need to listen, and the player leadership that we do have needs to step up and help strengthen the identity of who we are. Because when we're on, we're very strong. It's just when you're inconsistent, you don't have a chance to be good.
I'm writing about Glenn Seabrooks, and something that is interesting to me is that a freshman lineman, especially who played at the smaller school level, probably isn't who most people would expect would be kind of one of the standout true freshmen. How has he been able to adjust so quickly, I guess?
Well, he played at a smaller school but a good program and was coached really well, and that's a great starting point. Obviously, a great family too, so his foundation's really strong. He has size, strength, and athleticism, and so anytime you're kind of 330 pounds plus, you move well, he's smart. All those things point to being effective in the defensive line. I think the other part of it, and we're still, any true freshman that's playing, this is the time of year where you start to see just some fractures show up in process. It's hard. This is hard. It's a grind. It has to be a grind, and they're not used to it. And so I've been impressed with his ability to sustain. It hasn't been perfect, but his willingness to be coached and to listen and to just keep stepping forward and leaning into it, he's an impressive person. And to think this is the starting point for him, the way he's playing and how active he is and his understanding of what we're trying to accomplish and his taking to the fundamental technical aspects of it, super impressive. So his challenge is to, keep his head down, keep working. I think, he can make this career for himself what he wants it to be. Also think his baseball background probably helps him too, if I can say so myself. So. But that's a special kid, and I'm glad that you're paying attention to that because that's a story worth telling.
Were you surprised? His recruitment, I think you guys got him relatively early on, and it never really, I think that was the only Power 4 offer for him. Were you surprised that he flew under the radar a little bit other than with you guys?
I guess to answer that would be to say, truthfully, I don't pay attention to the recognition the guys that we recruit get insofar as forming opinion about him being under the radar.
Yeah.
What I know was we recognize here's a really good player who's got the physical traits and then the personality traits, and it wasn't like we had a lot of convincing to do with him, or we had to fight to hold on to him. When he committed, he was locked into who we were and what we were doing. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess to say, it wasn't, obviously every person we recruit, we hope that when they get here and they start to have the career we know they can have, that everyone's like, how did we miss that guy? If they didn't offer him, and ultimately then what we want it to be is that, we've beaten everyone that we play against on a kid because he knows exactly what we are and what we're doing. But we've always been very excited about Glenn and high on Glenn. And, again, we're not shocked to see his success, but the way he's sustained and really playing a featured role for us, again, it's a credit to him. It's a credit to Coach Black and Seth Payne, and just the work they're putting in that room is awesome.
With the recruiting piece, is it ever difficult to kind of insulate yourself from everybody else's opinion and just kind of stick to your eval with conviction, or is it completely independent of everything? Is it easy to just kind of separate yourself from external stuff there?
I think I would say it's not hard to insulate, and I pretty well insulate in every front for me, because as a decision maker, the minute you start paying attention and allow external factors to play a part in your process, no matter what the process is, you're kind of offloading the responsibility you have to see it with clear eyes. I will say, when I've made a mistake, it's paying attention to like the hype around a recruit, or like seeing that, hey, we got a really high evaluated player, and putting that ahead of like that continued evaluation, saying, is this the right fit? Is he the right? And those have been mistakes that I've learned from in my time. And you can kind of, I don't know a better way to put it, but like you can get drunk off that stuff sometimes, and you lose your ability to see it again clearly. But anymore, and that's Barton's job too, is he never hesitates to say, I think we're screwing this up. And some of those mistakes where we've overvalued, he's been a guy that has always kind of pumped the brakes on those, and so I know he's seeing it the way he needs to see it, and that's where he's a great value to that process. Is he's really disciplined with respect to paying attention to the things that we need to make this team stronger.
Have you felt like a stronger overall sense of evals with him, and like less misses in terms of what you were talking about, like with getting drunk off recruit hype in that sense?
From Barton?
Yeah, from Barton.
Yeah. Where we've, and again, some of these were like early on, and you get kind of excited about the perception boosts, and that's human. But what we've done is we've honed our process based off what we see producing successful results. And he's obviously led that. So yes, I mean, he's strengthened, we've strengthened. Again, I would give him credit to say some of those moments he understood, what we were doing, but also he would step in and say, is this really the right thing? Because here's where it doesn't make sense. And I appreciate that about him. He'll always speak his mind. But recruiting, I mean, you look at talent acquisition at any level, even in the NFL. I mean, the hit rate is not close to what you'd want it to be. And in the NFL, they're putting a ton of money into it, and they got a room full of experts, and they still make mistakes. I think recruiting is even more challenging because we're not drafting, and so you have to have like the pool of players is huge, and now you're trying to both find the ones that are interested in who you are, and then look for the ones that fit who you are, and make sure that they can play at a high level too. You're not always going to be perfect. Where we miss, what we want to miss on, are guys that love football, that are dependable and tough, because those guys will play for you no matter what. We want to accentuate that core of mentality and approach and process with guys that add elite trait physically, but we don't want to ever compromise on the football part of it. Because again, going back to Glenn, I mean, this is hard, and it has to be, and so they have to love it. They have to see a vision for themselves and be willing to go after it.
And when you guys went to Mizzou 2 years ago, a lot of their key players that were on that team are still there and are still their key players. In that sense, is that kind of a model that you're maybe looking to follow?
Well, I will, short of saying maybe that, to say I think every place is a little different, but what you're identifying, and I've said this week, I think Eli has been masterful as far as building a program combining recruitment and development of high school players and acquisition of very talented high school players with portal additions that have strengthened, the top end of the depth chart too. And you got to give him credit for that. I think he evolved and adapted quickly, and Missouri evolved and adapted quickly to the new landscape. And there's no mystery that this team, again, was battling for bowl games a couple years ago. Now is in a position to fight for prominence in the sport. And so it's a credit to him. And any successful program, you're looking to grab clues from, hey, how are they doing it and what are the things they're doing well. A successful approach at Vanderbilt is going to combine evaluation and acquisition of high school players that includes NIL, has to include NIL. It's going to involve the retention of players that you're developing in your system. So you look at like Issa, who played in that game, Langston Patterson, who was on special teams. These are guys that are, playing for us still. So you want to retain guys that are part. We have offensive linemen too, X and Gunner, and guys that have been here. And then finally, it's the portal piece that again takes NIL and resource, and that's the formula. And to do it at the highest level in this league takes the resources, and then I think being very deliberate about not trying to swap out an entire team, but developing guys that you believe have the top end ability, supplementing with the portal, making sure the NIL piece is strong, and then again driving a culture and environment that helps guys grow to their potential. And again, I think Eli's done a great job of that.
With the NIL piece, how different is it now versus maybe a year or two ago with the high school piece? How much are you having to allocate there versus the portal nowadays?
Well, without talking specifics, we still have not engaged in the paying of high school players, and we're behind because of it. So there's not a world anymore that exists where that's not a part of the equation. And in some of the comments I've made in the summer about how we evolve and how we adapt, and us not evolving fast enough has to do with this idea that the team NIL was set to triple from really a minuscule amount a year ago, right? And that number that was going to triple then doubled again, right? That was in 1 week, all right? So now, I don't expect that to stay the same or even incrementally increase. I expect it to probably double again. That still puts us somewhere in the bottom half of our league. And then with high school players involved in that too, there's addition there. So again, we're moving forward, but we're still behind. And certainly understanding NIL as a part of high school recruiting is going to both strengthen our high school approach, but it's also going to demand more resources. And so there's this never-ending kind of cycle that we're engaged in. And that's not unique to us. I mean, that's everywhere. But I think some places are kind of set up, for this. And we're a program that, look, year one, it was like, we're focused on how we get recovery shakes after workouts. I mean, we started at the lowest possible rung, and if not for great support from Candace and Chancellor Diermeyer, I mean, we would still be, making excuses about, how we're not willing to pay athletes, but we're doing that, and we're going to keep strengthening in that respect. And I get really excited hearing Candace talk about the vision for what the future looks like in that respect. And that is what success looks like anymore in college athletics. So we got to be committed to it and follow through on it.